Komið sæl og velkomin í Evrópuþingið hér í Brussel. Aðildarviðræður Íslands og Evrópusambandsins hafa nú staðið yfir í 2,5 ár og raunar 3,5 ár síðan Ísland sótti aðild að sambandinu. Sérlegur fulltrúi Evrópuþingsins í þessum viðræðum Cristian Dan Preda, Special Rapporteur on Iceland. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for being here with us in the Parliament. I would first like to ask you, while Iceland has been showing some economic growth recently, things are not going so well in the European Union economically. So why should Iceland join the EU under these circumstances?
Of course, the economic situation in Europe is not very good at this moment. It's better than 1 year ago, but it is not very, very good. In the same time, you know, the negotiations are not only about one economic year and one economic circumstance. Negotiations are about cooperation in the future, and I think that your voice, the Icelandic voice, will be better heard if Iceland will speak on behalf of 500 million people, because Europe is 500 million people. Then if Iceland will speak on behalf of 300,000 people, it's better to be in a very big team than to be a small and isolated country. It's not the case of Iceland. I mean, Iceland is not an isolated country, but I think that it will be better for Iceland to be with the other Europeans and to sustain a common view about development, about cooperation, about economy. And finally, it's up to Icelandic people to say if yes or no at the end of negotiations. The solutions defined in the negotiations will be acceptable for the country. So it is a process. We are you in Iceland and we in European Union in this negotiation. And I repeat, finally it's up to Icelandic people to say if the solution we will try to find in these negotiations will be a good solution for the people in Iceland. Yeah. But this is a situation Iceland asked, and we are very, very interested in this negotiation, and that's it. We cannot stop, I think. But
yeah. Last week, during the plenary sessions in Strasbourg, you had a debate on the situation regarding Iceland's application, accession process. And so if I can quote the resolution that you have drafted, you speak about the good progress made in the accession process.
Yeah.
How can you speak about good progress when the most difficult chapters have not even been opened, such as fisheries and agriculture?
You have here two different questions, because the negotiation is very good. Iceland and
you think
EU,
it's a good track?
Yeah, because you know, the negotiation started in July 2010, and so in 2 years and a half, you have opened 21 chapters and provisionally closed 10. We have tomorrow an intergovernmental conference, and it is possible to open and to close other chapters. So it is a very good situation if you compare the situation of Iceland with the case of other candidate states. So in this comparative perspective, Iceland is a very good candidate. It's a very solid and very strong candidate. On the other hand, the second question you put, it's about the difficult chapters, and it is true that in Iceland and in Europe in the same time, we had two different perspectives, two different points of view about the most difficult chapters. Some people said that it would be better to open first of all the difficult chapters, and on the other side, other people said that it would be better to have at the end the difficult chapters. And finally, the second perspective was adopted, and we are very interested to see what this negotiation about difficult chapters will give. In the same time, I would say that agriculture, for example, is a very difficult chapter, but your government, the team of negotiators, defined a very good track, a very good strategy to implement before an eventual entry of Iceland, the things to do on the Icelandic side. So if the chapter will be open next year, it will be a very good situation for your country. I mean, I'm sure that your excellent team of negotiators and our excellent team of negotiators will be able to define a very good solution, and I'm very optimistic in this perspective. So the fact that we decided to have the most difficult chapters at the end is a very good solution, because we had the time to define a very serious way to negotiate and to adopt the necessary for finally both sides.
Yeah. I want to quote the draft resolution again a little bit, because it's quite interesting. You also speak about that you consider it is important to create the conditions to complete the negotiations when both sides are prepared.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, what do you mean by both sides are prepared? Do you mean that is Iceland not prepared at the moment, politically, or?
In a political life, you have different political radical attitudes, and perhaps it's when you have negotiations about Europe, this radical perspective is not a very good one. So I don't think that from the point of view of substance, Iceland or Europe are not prepared to do that. But I think that it is better to have a rational attitude in these negotiations, and I am convinced that it will be the case.
You also speak about that there is this political split within the Icelandic government, that one party is so to speak against.
Yeah.
Has that been hampering the process?
No, it's a fact. I mean, it's a factual.
Is it bad for the process?
I cannot say that. It is a fact. We have different points of view in politics. Here in the parliament, we have, I think that we have more than 100 parties coming from Europe. So we have a very strong division, a very strong political division, because from the 27 member states, we have more than 100 parties, political parties. So, but we can cooperate. Yeah. Finally, we are able to find solutions. So division is not an obstacle to find a rational consensus and compromises. So when we say that in Iceland you have a division in the government and in the political field about Europe, it's a fact. It's simply a fact. And we'll say if tomorrow, if after the elections, you'll have in the spring 2013, it will be another division, or it will be a consensus about Europe. It's not up to us to define the solutions for the government in Reykjavik, but in the same time we are obliged to see the reality, the fact that you have in the actual government one party more oriented.
But what would then happen if after the elections in April in Iceland we would have a government against EU membership, and what would happen, let's say that they would formally withdraw the whole application process?
I'm not a prophet, and prophecies in politics are very dangerous, I think, but it's up to Reykjavik to say after the elections their attitude, the attitude concerning Europe. It's not up to us. We'll see, and we are prepared to do our job. In fact, we are in the negotiation. We are very interested to finalize this negotiation, and personally I think that we are able in Iceland and in Europe to find very good solutions for both sides. But we have to accept any solution coming from the other side. Of course, if tomorrow Iceland will say
it would not have any side consequences towards Iceland from the EU side.
You know, we are very open, and I think that we are able, as I already said, we are able to define good solutions for a common Europe, because Iceland is an European country. Yeah, it's I mean, it's an evidence. Iceland is not an African country or a North American country. It's an European country.
Mr. Dan Preda, thank you for this.